Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy. This is the Combustion Pocket Knife by JE Made Knives. First off though, in the name of full disclosure, this guy was sent to me directly by JE Made Knives. He's a person who I've actually had a couple of his knives on the table. Had an early on slip joint of his that was, and then I had a revised version that was, oh my god, gem. And then I saw this guy, I said, hey, can I take a look at that? Because that seems kind of off the beaten path, and indeed it is. But anyways, he sent this along. I told him, as always, I'm going to talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. It might be a gem, might be junk. He still sent it along, so thank you very much for that. But there you go. We have to assume this is the best quality controlled one ever, as well as I'm trying my best not to let that affect my review. So there you go. Next thing, size comparison. This is not a small knife. It is a slip joint, but it is not small. Here it is against your Ontario Rat number 2. Your Spyderco Delica. Here it is against your Spyderco PM2. And actually, let me grab my other JE Made slip joint here, just so you can have a family picture, so to speak. Probably should have grabbed that before I started the video, but hashtag not a brilliant man. So here is the other JE Made slip joint, and this little guy right here. So you can see here, yeah, this is a little bit bigger. So yeah, there you go. Then finally, what the heck is a JE Made? Well, JE Made Knives is a guy named GE, apparently. I can't pronounce Chinese. I'm so sorry, JE Made. But anyways, he uses a small group of factories or a small team. I'm not 100% sure exactly how it's working. But either way, he's over in China, and he's actually been doing amazing work. I mean, this little slip joint was remains very, very good. It is a part of my collection as a result, and this is nice. So, I wanted to check it out, and that's why. So let's go ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, the ugly of this very interesting little slippy right here. So on the good side, start with, it has very solid ergos. I mean, it is actually, although it is relatively smooth, with smooth wood and whatnot, the way it's done here, with this guard in the middle here, it is very hard to slip around on it. There's not really any issue with ergonomics, with slippage, with any of that stuff. It is really good to go. Sorry, I'm just cleaning some of this oil up here. So that way you get a nicer, unadulterated look, so to speak. So, anyways, there you go. Ergonomically speaking, this actually works very, very well in the hand. That's good. Next thing, it has some nice wood. You can see here that it's got a desert ironwood inlay on this guy. They're well cut, no problems with it at all. However, you've also got other options. You can get it in a plain titanium. You can get it with like a fluted titanium. There were some good choices here. So, the wood is good. And frankly, I think wood is a very nice thing to dissuade the fears of the scared, but nevertheless, that is definitely something to keep in mind. Next thing, this guy is relatively easy to open. We'll talk a little bit about that in a bit, but the fact is, having this big old grab hole in the middle there, I don't know if that's the technical term, but it makes it very easy to pinch this knife open with 2 hands. There is no concern, even though the spring is very strong, with opening this guy up. Opens quite happily. That's good. Next thing, this has a very nice clip. You can see here it is a relatively deep carry clip here. It is sculpted titanium, but it works very well. It's over a smooth portion of the blade. Clip on this guy makes this a joy to carry 100%. And so the clip is good to go. Next thing, this has a very nice disassembly process. Where is the bag for this guy? Let me a JE Made bag. One of the things that this guy has that is very interesting with it is a little tool, actually. I'm not generally a huge fan of proprietary tools, but the thing is, sometimes they actually make the world go round, so to speak. The reason I say that is that this guy actually was designed such that, and watch my disassembly, you'll see exactly what I mean. One of the big problems with disassembling a slip joint is that the back spring is under tension, and so inserting the blade onto the pivot with the back spring under tension is hard, because you're trying to have to push this spring with a lot of tension back. And so very often slip joints are not disassemblable without specialized tools. In this case, JE Made has actually made a tool here, but it's a very easy tool to use. All you need to do is actually slide this little piece, actually it's this guy here, but as you're reassembling it, you just slide this little piece through this area here into the lanyard hole, and what that allows you to do is position the spring properly. It gets everything put into place so that it takes the tension off of the spring and allows you to insert this last screw. It's a little thing, and in some ways it's an obvious thing, but it's an obvious thing that I don't know of anybody else doing. And it is a beautiful idea because it makes a slip joint very, very easily maintainable. And I love that. I freaking love that. It's a really great process. And so this makes this knife a knife that I'm not concerned to get dirty or to get, wet or anything like that, because I know I can take it apart. Even if it starts to do a little bit of rusting, I can take everything apart, get in there, clean everything up. He also includes a bunch of extra hardware, washers, etc. Look, he's doing great for disassembly. And on a slippy, that's impressive. So that's good. Next thing, this guy is safe. It has a very strong back spring, a very strong back spring. I'm really hitting this against the table with a great deal of force, and it really isn't moving the blade around very much. That's pretty impressive, actually. Very often slip joints will start to close because that's the point here. It absolutely does not lock. There is nothing holding it open, but the thing is, between the strong backspring on this guy, as well as this finger choil, which means that even if somehow you did manage to get this blade to start closing on your finger is actually there and not in a way it can get cut, preventing the knife from shutting on the rest of your hand. And then you've got a good half stop on it. It is really hard, I imagine, to hurt yourself with this. I didn't try all that hard to hurt myself with it because I don't want to hurt myself, but still, it is a very safe slip joint, even for situations where a slip joint might historically not be as nice a thing. Compared to something like this, which still has a pretty stiff backspring, this is serious business. This is a very, very safe slip joint, and I like that very much. And then finally, it has a very nice blade. It is a 3V steel. It is run suitably hard. They're advertising about 60, 61 hardness, and I haven't tested or anything because that's scientific and insane. But nevertheless, it is definitely a factor. It has a very solid sharpening choil and a very nice utilitarian shape. By insane, I mean it would be insane for me to think I have the scientific position to do that kind of testing. Anyways, I digress. But it has a very nice, good shape here. You've got some flat, you've got some belly, you've got a nice tip here on it. It is a beefy blade for sure. It's a relatively thick blade for a slip joint, but it nevertheless does the trick well. And so I like very much the blade on this guy. It is a very, very nice little blade. So to me, at least, that's the good, is that it has a very nice blade. It's safe. It has a great disassembly process, a great clip. It's easy to open, a nice wood, and very solid ergonomics. On the great side, this offers a compelling option for people in non-locking regions. This knife gives an option to somebody who wants something for a little bit harder use, but lives in a place where a locking knife is illegal. This is a 3V blade. 3V is a very tough steel. It's also run very well here. I mean, it's been very good for cutting. It came very sharp, by the way. But it's, cut and cut and cut without any signs of dulling, but it's also a reasonably tough steel. It has this very good sharpening choil with a strong spring, which keeps it safe. This is a knife that I wouldn't actually really hesitate to do much with as a slip joint. I think I could do with this guy pretty much any task that would come up in my everyday life, even though it is a slip joint. Honestly, for many people, slip joint means light use, but this guy is really a heavier use kind of knife. Of course, for true hard use, you want a fixed blade, but it's really nice that he's given an option to people who live in an area where that's not an option, to carry a locking knife or a fixed blade, that is. That is just really nice. And so, to me at least, that's what's great, is that this is a uniquely compelling option for people in non-locking knife law areas, but who still want something that can take a little bit more abuse. On the bad side, it is a little on the heavier side. It's not like heavy, and in fact, I imagine we are, we're like around an ounce an inch, because this is a 3.5-ish inch blade here. A little bit over an ounce an inch, but it's very dense. You definitely feel it in your pocket because there's a lot of metal here. Balance-wise, it's fine. It's right about where you'd expect it. Maybe a little far back, given the finger choil grip that most people, I think, are going to be in with it, but still, it's a little heavy. Next thing, the action is very strong. The half stop is very aggressive. It's not the most comfortable thing ever to open. I mean, you can do it, but generally what I end up doing is grabbing it with these fingers and then wedging the handle open. That way I'm not trying to rotate my fingers inside this little bar-shaped area there. Because the edges of this aren't, the most chamfered. I mean, they're chamfered enough, the edges are broken, and at some level you don't want it to be super chamfered. Your hands will slip off, but it's not the most comfortable thing ever to open. Certainly, in closing it is definitely a process. So keep that in mind. Next thing, this is actually reasonably large. Like I said, we're coming in around 3.5 inches, and that'll actually take it off the table in a lot of places that might have non-locking laws. And again, I'm not an expert on knife laws around the world or anything like that, but my understanding is that a lot of folks who have non-locking laws also have laws along the lines of, 3 inches or less, or some other centimeter number. This is going to be very big, and so this is kind of specialized for a place where the issue is locking rather than size. So, keep that in mind. Then finally, the price on this guy is a little up there. It's $255. That's a fair amount of money. I think it's going to be worth it for folks with relatively few other options, and the comparables are very few and far between. There aren't really that many knives that are doing what this is doing. like the Hinder or Slipjoint, the Spyderco pits, and those are both, relatively speaking, in the same area, but this is definitely expensive. So, to me at least, that's the bad, is it's a little pricey, it's a little big, the side of the opening holes are pretty sharp, the action is very strong, and it is a little on the heavy side. Final conclusions. This is a weird knife, 100%. It's like a harder-use Slipjoint, and it's, or maybe it's the adaptation of the kind of overbuilt, strong-use world to the Slipjoint market. It's got a tough steel, a tough handle, a tough spring, and the ergonomics to support it well. And at some level, it feels a little contradictory. I mean, for many people, light use and Slipjoint go hand in hand, but I have to remind myself that, you know, many people around the world live where politicians have restricted useful daily tools to capture political power from scared people. It's pretty much all politicians do anyways, but that's beside the point. And so if you're dealing with these laws, this actually might become a very, very, very compelling choice. Of course, it's not without downsides. It's a bit dense, it's got a heavy pull, the hole is sharp, and the price is a little high, but I can really see this knife having an audience. Who is it for? Well, not for me necessarily. Probably not for many folks in the States, or where you've got non-locking law or locking knife ability. Unless you are like specifically a Slipjoint enthusiast, I don't know that this knife is going to make a whole heck of a lot of sense for you here in the US market. I mean, it's cool. It's absolutely cool. It's nice, it's ergonomic, and, you know, maybe if you're an employee, I don't know. But, you know, for me at least, it's not like, oh my God, I absolutely need one of these. Oh my God. No, it's not that kind of thing. But if you are sitting someplace, but I can see a world, if you are sitting someplace where locking knives are just not allowed, and you're watching jealously for the last, 10 years as people around the world got tool after tool after tool that's meant to perform harder tasks really well, then I can see you very easily paying the price. I can see this knife being a really compelling option for you, with a good steel, with good ergonomics, and with a good, strong purpose built for that. I can see this knife being super, super compelling for you there. And so if you are in that situation, if local laws make this the best option, this very easily could be the best option, and you might happily pay that price, and the combustion here might very easily light your fire. Okay, anyways, hope this has been interesting to you, and have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.